Hello guys and welcome back to Ollie's on the Ball. This is my round 12 tips video. So after this round we'll officially be halfway through the season, which is pretty mental given it's gone so quick. It feels like just yesterday the season hadn't even started. So it was a decent round of footy, not the greatest, but now we're into the bye rounds, which I think go on for the next 5 rounds. But I did go to a few games. I went to Carlton, GWS, Hawthorn, Brisbane, St Kilda, Gold Coast. I did vlog Carlton, GWS, so stay tuned for that video. I'm just a bit busy at the moment, so I'll try and get it out within the next probably week. And then I did have a total Melbourne vlogs, of all the games I went to and the VFL, so some combined stuff. I didn't vlog the other 2 games because I got there late to the Hawks-Brisbane game coming from the other game. And then the Saints-Gold Coast game, I was too focused and it was a bad game anyway. So, yeah, but this is a tips video, so 6 out of 9 tips last week, not too bad. 3 out of 9 Ollie's calls, not too bad either. It does say I got 5 out of 9 tips on ESPN footy tips because I forgot to submit my tips, stupid me. And then when I resubmitted them, I tipped Carlton, not GWS, even though I seen my video GWS and I meant to tip GWS. So I actually got 6 out of 9. So yeah, 5 out of 9 for my tips. Not a great round. That would have been so much better if I did my tips correctly and got 6 out of 9 like I actually did. But anyway, we'll move on. So first game, as I said, I forgot to submit them. I did tip the Bulldogs, so it doesn't really matter. They tipped Richmond, who lost to Essendon. They tipped GWS by 38, so not a bad margin either. But for some reason, when I submitted them, I rushed to submit them. I tipped Carlton. Then I tipped Hawthorn. So a bad start, but then I did get the last 5 of the round right. So Collingwood, Freo, Adelaide got Melbourne probably an upset, and then Gold Coast easily won over the Saints. On to my tips for the round. So only 7 games for the round, shorter round due to buys. First game, Thursday night at the Gabba, Brisbane v Essendon, 7:30pm. Brisbane, record 8-1-2, going pretty well. Last week they beat Hawthorn by 33. Now, I was at that match. Wasn't too bad of a match, but the Lions basically had it wrapped up at half-time. That stint in end of the second quarter when Charlie Cameron kicked 3 in about 2 minutes of play. Then they kicked another one, and then it was 24 points at half-time, and it was basically game over. But a really good win from Brisbane away against a pretty good side in Hawthorn. And then Essendon, 6-4. Last week beat Richmond by 23. Essendon, have they beat anyone good, though? I think the only sides that, you'd say were good at the start of the season, that they beat Sydney, who are going horrendous, Port Adelaide, who are going horrendous. Then who else have they beat? West Coast, North, Melbourne, and Richmond. So there's their 6 wins. They have not beat one top 8 side. So I think this game is pretty obvious who's going to win, and I just can't really see Essendon making finals, even though their record's pretty good. I'm going to tip Brisbane by 56, with my Ollie's call, Neil and Dunkley combined for the 50-plus disposals. Next game, MCG, 7:40pm Friday night. Got Collingwood Hawthorn. This game is a blockbuster. Probably be 80,000 at the G. Collingwood record 9-2. Last week beat North Melbourne by 35. It was a pretty good performance. I missed the first half, the first quarter getting back from the footy. But North actually put up a fight for the first half, and second time in a row North and Collingwood have played, and North were in it at half time, and you're thinking North could win this, and then Collingwood just turned the Jets on in the last quarter. Jamie Elliott kicked 5, and it was a pretty good performance in the end from them. Hawthorn record of 7-4, lost to Brisbane by 33. As I said earlier, I was at this game, and yeah, that second quarter, end of the second quarter, was really where the game was won and lost for either side. And as in, it's a game you're not too unhappy with losing. Brisbane, reigning premiers, they've looked the second best team all year, but this will be a massive one. If Hawthorn lose this, they're in a bit of strife. Collingwood lose this, then Brisbane probably top of the ladder. But I'm going to tip Collingwood by 16 with my Ollie's call that Hawthorn kick more behinds than goals. Next game, 1:20pm, People's First Stadium Saturday. I've got Gold Coast Freo. Now, this is a funny game because it's basically the team that's really good at home versus the team that can't play away. So you'd think Gold Coast should get up pretty easy in this one. Gold Coast record of 8-2, beat St Kilda by 19. Gold Coast didn't play great, as in the Saints. It should have been closer, but it should have been bigger margin. The margin probably about right in the end because Saints dominated that third quarter. Could not put their chances on the scoreboard. Had like 3 or 4 posters. It was horrendous to watch. And then Gold Coast in that last quarter really outclassed us. And then St Kilda kicked a couple of late goals, but the game was already over. And then there's Freo, 6-5, 2 wins in a row, beat Port Adelaide by 49. You'd expect that at home though. And Port, yeah, they're having a pretty poor season. So I think this was a pretty easy tip. I'm going to tip Gold Coast by 29 with my Ollie's Cole. Ben Long kicks 3+ goals. Next game, 4:15pm Saturday, got GWS v Richmond. GWS 6-5 last week, beat Carlton by 28. It was a pretty good game to watch. First half was really good, and Carlton just couldn't convert their opportunities. GWS took their opportunities, won the game quite easily. Toby Green played really well in his 250th. Jesse Hogan always kicking goals. Jake Riccardi played pretty well, and they're looking pretty good. They're up and they're down, but you'd think they should win this one at home. Then you got Richmond 3-8 last week, lost Essendon by 23. A game you thought they were a chance to win, but Essendon prevailed in the end and an easy win. But if you said to a Richmond fan at the start of the year, after only winning 2 games last year, you'd take 3 wins at this point in the season. But I think pretty easy tip, GWS should get up. But I reckon it'll be close. I'm going to tip GWS by 12 with my Ollie's called Richmond late at quarter time. Next game, Sydney v Adelaide at the SCG, 7:35pm Saturday. Now, this is a massive game, especially for Adelaide. Sydney 4-7 last week, lost to Melbourne by 53. Did not watch any of the game because I was at that other game, the 4:40 game, but looks like it was a very good performance, very convincing performance from Melbourne, who are really in some form. And Sydney, this is just not their year. They've got a really strange thing where they're really good in even years and can't play in odd years. Like, if you look at their recent grand final appearances, 2014, 2016, 2022, 2024, like, they've all been even years, and odd years they never seem to play that well. And then there's Adelaide, 7-4, beat West Coast by 66. You'd expect a performance like that at home, but still good to get those wins and, yeah, pick them up. But this was a really massive game, and it'd be a really good game for Adelaide to win, like a really massive game for them to win. I don't think they've beat Sydney in a while. So I'm going to tip the pros in this one, Adelaide by 24, with my Ollie's Cole that more than 200 points are scored between the two teams. And then we've got the 2 games on Sunday, TO Traeger Park. We've got Melbourne St Kilda. Now, this is going to be not a great game to watch. I feel like in Alice Springs, they're always low scoring. I think the last time Saints played there, we lost by under a goal, so that's not good. And, yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to go. But Melbourne, 5-6, they're in form. Beat Sydney by 53. 2 good wins. Sydney aren't going great, but they've beat Sydney and Brisbane in the last 2 weeks. The two grand finalists from last year. And I could actually see them making finals. They were on 5, but now they're 5-6 and they're flying. And then you've got the Saints, 4-7. Last week lost to Gold Coast by 19. We didn't play too badly. That third quarter, we just should have kicked so many, like a couple more goals. Should have been probably level at 3/4 time. And then the Suns just come out and easily won in the end. And not a great couple of weeks for Saints. We've lost 6 out of our last 7. And I think we're going to lose again. My tip is that Melbourne are going to win by 57 points with my Ollie's Call St Kilda score less than 55 points. Then the final game of the round. Up to 7:20pm Sunday. Channel 7 game for the Eagles, West Coast Geelong. And I think this is a Sunday night game because it's WA in Perth, so not great if you're in anywhere else because it is pretty late for a Sunday night game. But and it probably won't be great watching, but they are wearing black and gold as well this week, or black and yellow for WA Day, so that'll be interesting to see. But West Coast 1-10 last week, lost to Adelaide by 66. Didn't watch any of the game because I was at the VFL, but not a great performance from the Eagles. I don't think they were competitive early. I saw at one point scores 28-32, and then I looked at 3/4 time and it was like 60 odd points. So not a great performance, but you would expect that. And then you fought Geelong 7-4. Last week beat the Bulldogs by 14. One of the games of the year, was really high scoring, really entertaining footy to watch, and You would have expected the Cats to win that one, but it was still a good performance nonetheless. Bailey Smith really turned it on against his former side, and I think the Cats should win this one pretty comfortably. I'm going to tip them by 35, with my Oz call that Jeremy Cameron has 6 more scoring shots. So, recapping my tips. First game, Brisbane-Essendon. Brisbane clear favourites, and I'm going to go a pretty big margin of 56 points. Next game, pretty big game. Collingwood Hawks could go either way. Collingwood clear favourites, so I'm going to tip them. Gold Coast Fremantle, I think it's pretty obvious. Gold Coast. And then next game, GWS Richmond, go GWS. Adelaide Sydney, go Adelaide. Melbourne St Kilda, Melbourne pretty easily, and then Geelong West Coast Geelong. So a pretty easy round to tip. And buyers Carlton North, Port Adelaide Western Bulldogs, and I'm going to submit them this week. So those are my tips for round 12. Thanks for watching Oz on the Ball. I hope you enjoyed another tips video. So yeah, should be a pretty interesting round of footy. And stay tuned for the 2 vlogs that hopefully should be out soon, hopefully within the next week. But thanks for watching Oz on the Ball, and see you next time.